The stars were silent, cold, and watching. Commander Valrek, of the Yellowry Exploration Fleet, stared at the main screen inside his silver command ship. The Zephyr. They were traveling through Sector 9N, empty zone with no known planets or life. It was supposed to be safe, but something felt wrong, Captain, his officer whispered. Our long-range sensors just lost connection for 3 seconds. Valrek frowned. In deep space, even a second of sensor loss meant danger. Send out a pulse sweep, he said, and go to yellow alert. Lights dimmed and turned amber inside the ship. All 20 Yellowry ships in the fleet received the same signal. The pulse swept across space, came back with something strange. Hundreds of reflections like shadows in the dark. Then, nothing. Suddenly, alarms screamed. One by one, black shapes appeared around them at first. They looked like asteroids, but then they moved fast and smooth. 2 smooth, unknown vessels, 60 in number. Surrounding our formation, the AI reported the ships had no lights, no symbols, no transmissions, just silent metal, shaped like hunter's sharp. Deadly and emotionless, they didn't answer the Yellowry's calls.
Oh.
They didn't fire, they just circled, closer and closer. Panic started to spread in the fleet. Valrek tried to stay calm. He opened a direct channel. This is Commander Valrek of the Yellowry Science Council. We are peaceful explorers. Please respond. Silence, no reply. Then, one of the hunter ships turned. It locked on to a smaller Yellowry cruiser and fired a beam of pure light cutting the ship in half in one breath. There were no survivors. Everyone on the command bridge went silent. They are testing us, Valrek whispered. Like predators watching prey, the hunter ships didn't move again. They just circled like sharks in water, ready but patient. Then something strange happened. Another signal appeared on their sensors. Just one ship, small, old design. Moving slowly toward the center of the hunter circle, Valrek looked closer. The ship was human-made. That couldn't be right. Humans had disappeared over 200 years ago. Their last war had torn half the galaxy apart. After that, they vanished. Is this a ghost ship? Someone asked. No, Valrek said slowly. It's alive. Human ship didn't send a message, didn't fire any weapons. It just floated into the center of the deadly formation, and the hunter ships stopped. They froze in position. Not one moved. It was like they were waiting. Or obeying. Valrek's heart pounded. Open all communication lines, he ordered. I want to know who is flying that ship. A second later, the human ship flashed. A simple code. Old Terran binary. One word. Observe. That was it. No threat, no message. Just one commandment for everyone watching. Valrek felt cold. He turned to his science officer. What is going on here? She replied in a soft voice, I think. The hunter ships recognized the human as their master. No one spoke for a long moment. The silence of space grew heavy. Then the hunter ships turned, one by one. They positioned themselves behind the human vessel, like guards following a king. They did not attack again. They simply moved with the human ship deeper into space. The trap had opened, but the prey was not the Yellowry. The real message was clear. The hunters weren't hunting the aliens. They were waiting for the return of humanity. And now, the galaxy would remember why the humans were feared, because the myth had returned. And it flew in a ship no one believed could still exist. Commander Valrek sat back in his chair, his eyes still locked on the small human ship, his voice barely a whisper. The stories were true, he said. The hunters were never the real danger. The danger was the human who could command them. Asterisk, the hunter ships could destroy planets. But today they followed someone, a single human, inside a small, silent ship. The galaxy didn't know it yet. But everything had changed. Commander Valrek stood. Frozen on the bridge of the Zephyr, the Yellowry fleet remained surrounded, but no longer targeted. The hunter ships had shifted their focus now. They hovered like hounds behind their new master, the human. The human ship didn't match any current model. It was small, old, and badly scarred. But it moved with purpose, like it belonged. Valrek gave the order, send another message. Ask who they are. The comms team tried again and again, still no response. Only the same blinking binary code. Observe, Valrek narrowed his eyes. Something didn't feel right if this human came from Earth, he whispered. Where has Earth been for 200 years? His science officer, Kilia, turned from her console. We scanned the human ship, she said. It's running a power core we've never seen before. Valrek frowned. Not human tech? Not entirely, she replied. It's mixed some. Of it is organic. Before he could ask more, the human ship broadcast something new. Not words, but images. Flash after flash of old wars, ruined planets, and the hunter ships flying in formation under a red Earth flag. Then came a voice calm. Deep and impossible to trace, you left us to die, the voice said. You feared what we became, but we were only trying to survive. We became the monsters you feared so you would never touch us again. The crew of the Zephyr watched in silence. It was like a message from the grave. A message. From a species thought long dead. Valrek leaned forward. They were pushed out of the galaxy. And now they're back. Kalira nodded slowly. This is a declaration, but it wasn't just the Yalari watching across distant sectors. Dozens of alien empires picked up the same signal. Trade unions, warrior clans, and peace coalitions. All stopped to listen. Some laughed, some ignored it. But others felt it chill, because the humans had once ruled with fear and fire. Not as conquerors, but as survivors who refused to be destroyed. The hunter ship's deadly machines built by biosynthesis were once tools of war. Now they moved like loyal pets, following their masters' every move, and they were just the beginning. Valrek turned to his crew. Get me all known files about Earth's last battle. Its old, dusty records opened. The last time humans were seen, they had activated a weapon called Project Eclipse. Then, they vanished. No trace of Earth, no survivors, no answers. But now someone had survived. And they were showing the galaxy exactly what humans had become. Kalira looked up from her station. Commander, the human ship is moving again. To where? She hesitated. To the core of our territory. Valrek's heart sank. He understood. Now this wasn't a rescue. It was a test. The human wanted to see how the galaxy would react. Would they attack? Would they run? Would they bow? The hunter ships shifted around the human vessel again, like wings forming a cloak. They pulsed with energy-silent threats in every direction. The Yalari fleet moved slowly behind them. No one dared to fire, not yet. Track them, Valrek said. But do not interfere. He looked at the stars ahead. And then to the ones behind. He knew one thing for sure. The humans hadn't just returned. They had planned this, waited, prepared. Kalira asked in a low voice, Commander, what do we do now? Valrek closed his eyes. Pray, he said, that we are not next. The myth had returned, and it wasn't alone. The galaxy had feared the hunter ships for generations. But now they feared something worse. The one who controlled them. The one called human. They looked like machines, but they breathed, they thought. And they obeyed only one master humanity. Commander Valrek sat in silence as the Yalari fleet followed the strange formation. At the center moved the ancient human vessel, behind its 60 deadly hunter ships. Each one a black shadow, floating like death itself. Sir, Kalira said softly. We need to know what those ships really are. Valrek nodded. Send out a micro-drone, he ordered. Stealth mode. No signals. One tiny silver probe. Was released from the Zephyr. It was no bigger than a bird. And completely invisible to most sensors, as the fleet moved slowly through Sector 9. The drone zipped forward, closer and closer to one of the hunter ships. What it saw shocked them all. The hunter ship was not made of only metal. It pulsed. It had veins. It had heat like a living body. Its outer shell shifted like skin inside. Strange organic shapes moved in rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. It's alive, Kalira whispered. No, Valrek said. It's something worse. They ran scans. The ship's armor could regenerate. Its weapons were fused with neural circuits. It didn't just fire. It decided. It's part machine. Kalira added, but it thinks on its own. Valrek leaned closer, and it follows the human. The probe moved closer, brushing along the underside of the ship. Suddenly it stopped. The hunter ship's hull shifted. A red eye opened, not a cameraman eye. It looked directly at the drone, then without sound. The drone stopped working. No signal, no data, gone. It saw us, Kalira said, shaking. It allowed us to look, Valrek corrected. Just enough to scare us. The bridge fell silent. They had believed the hunter ships were ancient war machines, but the truth was worse. They were evolved, not built. Grown Kalira pulled up. Old data, there are rumors, she said, from before the collapse. Some say humans began creating bio-warships in secret. Ships that bonded with their pilots and learned from war, then they vanished. Valrek rubbed his forehead. If these are those ships, then we are watching the return of a nightmare. Just then, a signal came through, encrypted. Old Terran code, the human ship was broadcasting again. Not in voice, but in thoughts. A soft whisper entered their minds. You feared our weapons, but our greatest weapon was our will to survive. Suddenly, one of the hunter ships opened. Its center unfolded like a flower, revealing a dark core. From that core, something floated out, a silver sphere, glowing with strange light. It flew toward the Yalari command ship, not fast, but with purpose. Don't shoot, Valrek shouted. The sphere stopped in front of their hull. Then, it projected an image, a hologram of a battle, a memory. The crew watched as the past came alive, humans in armored suits, fighting side by side with the hunter ships, thousands of alien warships burned under their fire, but the humans looked tired, wounded, desperate. Then came the explosion project Eclipse, the last weapon of humanity. The stars went dark. The screen faded. Valrek's voice was low. They didn't disappear. They sacrificed everything to end the war, Kalira added. And now, they're back. Not for revenge, but for something else. The sphere flashed one last message. Ready or not, we return. Then it turned and vanished back into the hunter ship. The living armor closed again, sealing the secret inside. The fleet was quiet. The Yellery knew what they had seen. Not a myth, not a story, but truth. The hunter ships were not just tools. They were loyal to only one species, the one they were created for. The one they waited centuries to follow again, humans, and now that. Their master had returned, so had the fear, so had the silence, so had the power, Valrek whispered. They circled us like prey, but the human arrived. And now they move like an army, not of machines, but of living nightmares. Asterisk the stars shifted. The hunter ships moved like one giant beast, and at its heart floated the last human, but now he was ready to speak. Commander Valrek stood on the bridge of the Zephyr, his crew frozen in silence. They had just witnessed something terrifying. The hunter ships were alive, loyal, and waiting, not for a signal, but for him, the one man. Inside that ancient human vessel, suddenly their ship lights flickered. Not from a malfunction, but from a wave. An energy burst unlike anything they'd seen before, Commander Kalira said with a shaky voice. We're receiving an old BROADCAST frequency. Human, Valrek asked. She nodded. From over 200 years ago. A distorted voice came through, broken, echoing through the bridge speakers. It wasn't a new message. It was a recording to any surviving galactic species. This is Admiral Corvain, Elias of the Earth Defense Fleet. This is not a cry for help. This is not a warning. This is a record of judgment. Everyone listened, frozen. The screen on the bridge flickered and showed a damaged human command center. Soldiers ran, alarms blared, fire and smoke everywhere. They feared us, so they attacked us, the Admiral continued. We offered peace. They gave us war. We asked for alliance. They sent assassins. And so, we created the Hunters, a new image showed the first hunter ship being born. It's not built in a factory but grown in a fusion cradle, a mixture of human tech and something alien, the voice continued. We fused mind and machine, bone and code. They became our swords, our shields, our revenge, Kalira whispered. They used bioengineering to create warships that could think, but The admiral said, "We were too late, the enemy joined forces. United against us, and we had no choice but to vanish." The final image showed Earth, beautiful and blue surrounded by flames, then a final flash of light, project eclipse, a weapon that erased systems, not with fire, but silence. The message ended with these words: "If this message is found, it means we survived, and we remember all of it." The screen went dark. Silence returned to the bridge, but it was no longer peaceful silence. It was heavy. It was waiting. Valrek broke the silence. They recorded that message. During their last hours, Kalira nodded. They didn't just vanish. They erased their existence on purpose. Why return now? One of the officers asked. Valrek looked toward the viewing window. The human ship still floated at the center of the Hunter formation. Calm, quiet, but it held the attention of the entire Yellari fleet. Just then, the human ship broadcast again, this time. "Live, no image, just a voice. We are the children of a forgotten empire. We do not ask for your fear, we only ask you remember what you did." The Hunter ships lit up one by one. Glowing red veins appeared on their surfaces, energy built in their cores, but they didn't attack. Instead, they sent data, gigabytes of old battle logs, treaties, betrayal records, hidden truths. It flooded the Yellari ship's systems, stories rewritten by history, lies told by those who survived. The truth hit hard. Humanity had not started the Great War. They had been tricked, framed, forced into a corner. Kalira's voice cracked. We were part of it, the council knew. Valrek nodded slowly. They erased our shame and buried Earth's sacrifice. Now it was rising again, not as vengeance, but as justice. A final signal came through, not from the human ship, but from one of the Hunter's ships directly. It spoke in perfect Yellari. Its voice cold, yet full of memory. "The galaxy has forgotten, but we did not. The children of Earth are awake, and the war is not over." The lights on the Hunter ships dimmed again. Their formation changed. Now, they began splitting off, heading in different directions. Each one jumping into different systems. The human ship stayed behind. Valrek watched in silence. "This was only the beginning," he said. "They wanted us to see, to understand what's coming." Kalira asked, "Do you think they'll attack again?" "No," he said. "I think they'll offer a choice. Join them, or be replaced." The Yellari fleet stood still in deep space, but across the stars, sparks began to light. The Hunters had returned to old battlefields, to old enemies, to unfinished history. And at the center of it, all one human, carrying the weight of a forgotten war and a message the galaxy could no longer ignore. They had seen the message, they had seen the truth, but the truth frightened them. And frightened leaders make dangerous choices in a hidden chamber of the Yellari High Council. Fear spread faster than light. The counselors sat in silence. Watching the replay of the human broadcast, the Hunter ships were not only real, they were listening, and they had returned with a purpose. "We cannot allow them to rise again," one counselor hissed. Another nodded. "If we act now, we might stop it before it spreads." "But we started the war," a younger voice said. The others turned sharply. "That doesn't matter," the elder snapped, "if the galaxy finds out. We will lose everything." So they made a choice, not to make peace, but to kill the message deep in orbit. A secret Yellari strike ship received its command. Its orders: approach the human ship and destroy it before it could speak again. No questions. No warning, no mercy. Back in deep space, the human vessel remained silent. It floated calmly behind the retreating Hunter ships, as if it already knew it was being targeted. Commander Valrek watched the screens from the Zephyr. Something felt off. He turned to Kalira. "Has the council responded to our request for orders?" She shook her head. No word. That was strange. Too strange. Then the proximity alert blared. One ship cloaked, fast-moving, approaching from behind. Not from the Hunter fleet, but from their own. Yellari tech, Yellari weapons, Yellari betrayal. Valrek's eyes widened. No, they wouldn't. Kalira's voice was tight with fear. They're going to try to destroy the human ship. He slammed his fist on the control panel. Open comes full broadcast, shouted across the fleet. His voice echoed. This is Commander Valrek aboard. All strikes. Do not engage the human ship. But it was too late. The strike ship had already fired. A sleek torpedo streaked toward the human vessel. It carried enough power to shatter moons. Everyone held their breath. Valrek shouted. No, they'll see this as war. But just before the torpedo hit, a shadow passed in front of the human ship. One of the hunter ships, faster than light, intercepted the attack. The explosion lit the stars, and the hunter ship took the full impact when the fire cleared. It was still there, not a scratch. Its skin regenerated in seconds. And then it turned. So did the others. The entire hunter fleet stopped mid-flight and began to reverse course, their red cores glowing brighter, their engines pulsing with fury. A message came through, this time not gentle, this time. A warning, you were told to observe, you chose violence now. We respond. In a flash, the hunter ships spread across the Yllari formation. They didn't fire, they didn't destroy. They disabled Yllari ships powered down. Systems failed, weapons locked, even the Zephyr went dark for 6 seconds. When the lights returned, the command crew looked pale. They had just been shown what the hunters could do. Valrek whispered. They could have killed us all, but they didn't. The human ship moved forward slowly, and this time it sent a message to every Yllari ship at once. We are not here to destroy, but we will not be hunted. We offered memory, you answered with betrayal. Then came another shock. Across the galaxy, reports flooded in. Other hunter ships were doing the same. Entering orbit around alien worlds, shutting down defense systems. Without firing a single shot, they weren't attacking. They were demonstrating power, control, superiority without war. Kalira spoke in a whisper. This is the beginning of something else. Not revenge, not conquest, but dominance. Valrek nodded. They are showing us mercy, because next time they won't. He turned to his crew. Send a message to the human vessel. Tell them the strike ship acted alone, but it didn't. Kalira said, I know, Valrek replied, but it's the only lie we can afford now. They had crossed a line. The galaxy had broken the silence with blood again, and the humans had answered, not with fire, but with control. One man, one ship, a forgotten empire behind him, and the hunters watching every move. Asterisk, the galaxy watched in silence. The hunter ships had spoken without war. The message was clear. Humanity had returned. And it was no longer weak, forgotten, or scattered. In the quiet command bridge of the Zephyr, Commander Valrek stood motionless. The image of 60 hunter ships disabling his entire fleet played again and again in his mind. He had never seen such power used with such calm, no screams, no fire, just control. Kalira whispered, Sir, we have a new signal. It's not just from the human ship. Valrek turned sharply. Where is it from? Kalira tapped her console. Everywhere across dozens of sectors. Hidden systems lit up, ancient satellites powered on, derelict. Stations came to life. Old Earth codes blinked on long-dead screens. We thought Earth was destroyed, Kalira whispered. But they never died. They went dark, and now they've returned. Valrek looked at the main screen. A live feed showed one of the hunter ships landing gently on the surface of an abandoned moon. As its doors opened, out came a human tall. Armored in black and silver, face hidden behind a dark helmet. This is a rebirth, Valrek said, a signal to the galaxy, and the galaxy listened. Dozens of species sent spy probes, and all of them saw the same thing. Humans walking. Out of hidden bases, human flags rising again. Old Earth banners on towers long buried from the human ship orbiting near the Zephyr. A final message was broadcast, but this time it wasn't just to the Yllari. It went to all frequencies, all corners of space. The voice spoke calmly, but it carried the weight of something ancient and final. We did not return to conquer, we returned to rebuild. The galaxy hunted us, but we outlasted the fire. Now we offer a new order. Not ruled by fear, but by truth, strength, and memory. The human empire is reborn. Gasps filled the command centers of dozens of alien governments. Emergency meetings were held, leaders argued, but nothing could change what had already begun. On old planets thought lost, human colonies lit up. Machines long asleep began to mine, build and repair. Artificial minds, the Aegis systems connected across light years. Within days, the humans had built a new command hub in neutral space. And they called it Haven, but it was more than a capital. It was a message. We're not just back, we've been preparing for this day. Valrek stood watching a transmission from Haven. Thousands of humans stood beneath a rising black flag. Above them floated a new fleet, not just hunter ships, but massive carriers, stealth cruisers, and pulse dreadnoughts. Ships that had never been seen before, ships built in silence, deep in the void. This is power, Kalera whispered, power shaped by patience. One of the new human leaders appeared on screen, a woman named Commander Idris, her voice sharp, commanding but not cruel. To those who wronged us, we remember. To those who helped us, we welcome you. To those who remain neutral, we advise caution. This is not a war. This is a new beginning. Valrek turned to his crew. What does the council say? Kellera looked down. They're silent. Sir, cowards, Valrek muttered. They watched history walk back into the stars, and they froze. Across the galaxy, reactions spread like fire. The Cathari Empire closed its borders. The Viren Syndicate declared Earth is a myth. But other small systems and forgotten allies began to reach out to the humans. Some are joining them, Kalira said. Valrek nodded. Of course they are. They remember who saved them before the collapse. But not everyone welcomed this rebirth. Dark fleets moved in secret, old enemies of Earth. Alien empires that once shared blame for the war, and they were not ready to kneel. One of them, the Bralix Dominion, sent a clear message to Haven. You are not welcome. Earth must remain dead. 2 days later, their outer station vanished. No attack, no warning, just gone, and in its place a hunter ship, pulsing red. The galaxy understood. This was not just rebirth. It was a shift in power, a return of the forgotten rulers. Valrek stared at the stars through the window of the Zephyr. Humans didn't just come back, he said. They came back as kings. And now, the stars themselves began to change. Borders shifted. Alliances broke. New banners rose. The one name whispered across every channel. Earth, humanity, empire. The stars once judged humanity as a threat. Now, humanity stood in judgment of the stars. In the Grand Chamber of Haven, the new capital of the human empire, leaders gathered. Not just humans, but ambassadors from dozens of species. Some came in peace. Some came in fear, but all came because they had no other choice. At the center of the room stood Commander Idris. Beside her was the human who had first returned. The one who piloted the old vessel that awoke the hunter ships. No one knew his real name. They simply called him the First. The chamber grew quiet. He stepped forward. His voice was calm, yet heavy like thunder in a quiet sky. You hunted us. You burned our home. You erased our name, but we remembered. His words echoed in every language at once. No translator needed, no explanation. Valrek watched from the balcony. He had arrived alone. The Yellery Council refused to show their faces. They were still hiding in fear, still pretending this wasn't happening. But Valrek knew. This was history being written by the ones who were supposed to be gone. The First raised a hand, and the lights in the chamber dimmed. A 3D map of the galaxy appeared above the floor. Red zones marked where Earth's enemies had once ruled. Blue zones showed the rising alliance's species now siding with humans but one. Area blinked Hilo, the Nari Expanse, the home of the Braylox Dominion. One of the last great powers still defying Earth's return. Commander Idris spoke next. The Braylox refused peace. They denied the truth. They erased the old war crimes. They continue the lie. The map zoomed in. Images of hidden factories, secret fleets, and slave worlds filled the air, evidence clear and undeniable. The chamber gasped. Even those who hated Earth could no longer deny it. We offer the same choice to all, Idris said. Join us, stand aside, or face judgment. The Bralics prepared their answer, a massive fleet gathered, thousands of ships, dark as the void. Their message was short. Humanity is a shadow of the past. We are the future. They were wrong. Valrek stood aboard the Zephyr, now stationed near the edge of neutral space. He and Kalira watched the live feed together. The first human dreadnought entered the expanse. Then 10 more, then 20 hunter ships each. One glowing red like a god of war. The battle wasn't long. The Braylocs fired first. Also wall, but their weapons couldn't pierce the hunter ship's living armor. Then the sky turned white and the stars seemed to hold their breath. One shot from a human prototype vessel erased the Braylocs' command station. Another blast disabled their fleet's central AI, and without it, their ships floated helpless in space. But Earth didn't destroy them. Instead, the human ships opened communication. Your leaders will stand trial. Your people will be spared, join the future, or vanish in the past. The Bralics surrendered, and just like that, one of the last walls fell, back in Haven. The first stepped forward again. We are not here to be what we once were. We are something more. We remember our mistakes, so we will not repeat them. But we will not be silent ever again. Valrek closed his eyes. He had feared this return, feared the anger, feared the fire. But now he understood this wasn't about revenge. It was about restoration, truth, balance, memory. Kalira whispered, "They built an empire no one saw coming." Valrek nodded. And now it stands where the stars once stood in silence, at the edge of the galaxy. The last hunter ship entered orbit around a world that once betrayed Earth. It didn't fire, it didn't speak, it just waited. The message was simple. We remember, we forgive, but we never forget. The human empire stretched its banners across stars. Once used to burn it, and now they burned with a new light. Not war, but justice. Not fear, but truth. The stars had judged them once. Now the stars answered to them, and the myth was now the future, the end.